G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel Bonsai Works. I'm David. Maybe you're in a bit of shock again. This is different to what I normally do, but it's worth having a look at this tree. It's a Cotoneaster. Now it's quite a nice advanced piece of material. It's got a lot of branching, a lot of foliage. It's got too much foliage, you can see that. But what it has, the best bit about it is this trunk, the thickness of that trunk. It's one of the thickest. I don't see too many thick Cotoneasters around. It's got a nice cascading branch that we'll look into in a minute. It's got really good, proportions anywhere you look, but it's just way overgrown. Insanely overgrown. So this is another kind of, if you get a tree like this, what do you do? What do you try and analyze? Trees like this are, sometimes quite nice to get and rare to get, but you need to really plan out your journey, plan out what you're going to do, and get it looking great. So first thing we do, I do is analyze the trunk. Now it's got a really nice base, and it's got a really nice main branch that cascades down. It's got a couple of even towards the other side. It's got some nice branches that cascade back to the back. But the main branch cascades all the way down into this, quite long. Quite a nice lot of quite nice branches down into there, way overgrown of course. So it's a matter of finding the line you like and then trying to build the tree from it. Now both fronts, there's a front in here, looks quite nice movement, and totally opposite side as well, it's got nice movement as well. Might have to get it up higher, but I think once I trim it, it'll be okay. It's got nice movement on that side too. Probably not as good with the cascading branch, but we'll have a look at trying to improve that. Alright, first thing first, we need to start removing things that we don't need. So this is going to be a bit tricky to show you, but there's a lot of stuff down here in a cascade that is not required near the trunk. So we'll start to remove those. This is not like, don't think of Cotoneasters as needing gin. I never think of them as needing gin. So there's some low branches that are very unattractive. Now we can kind of see a bit more of the base of the trunk. You can kind of see the base of the trunk a bit more from that end. The other end, one thing I want to do is actually reduce some of these long ones so that we can actually have there's something to do with. So when you see really massive long branches, you're not going to use them. Like, look at that, that's huge. You're not going to use them, okay? And just trim back everything to some reasonable length because you're not going to need all that. I'm just going to quickly go through it. Nothing special. Just quickly going through anything that's really excessively long. I'll just trim back slightly, just so we can work with the tree. Well, that's a bit more manageable, I guess. It's not going to knock everything. So now we got a really nice trunk, we've got a nice cascading branch, a couple of cascading branches. This is quite a nice long one too that we can maneuver and swing around and create a nice cascade out of it. You got the other side as well, which is really interesting. It's got probably a lot more branching, so if I keep this side I would have to remove a lot of branching. There's some low branches down here as well that that are just too low. See how they're just too low? Unless I change my mind about a cascade, but at the moment if you look into there, it's phenomenal. It's beautiful. We can just work a nice, beautiful cascade, heavy branch, or heavy wire this branch, back around, look really good. And some other branches we'll put into place. It's got a lot of the branching we need in the areas we need around here. The branching we don't need is this one down here. It's just too big and not required. So we're going to remove that too. So now we can see a bit more of a trunk. Okay, you've still got lots of lower branches. Probably got one at the back here that's just too low as well. We want higher branches, that's just too low. Or a back branch even, it's just too low. Alright, now how does that trunk movement look now? Can we see that nice trunk movement? Yeah. Really nice. I know there's wounds on there, I'll put some sealant on there anyway, but I'll carve them down a little bit, but have a look at that in terms of much better look of a tree, right? This man now cleaning up, let's clean up some unneeded branches, but this nice line, now we can see it. There is a branch in there, I don't know if you can, I'll zoom in on this section, but there's a branch in there that could help us with our Cascade as well. Could add to the Cascade, could not, could be in the way, possibly in the way. But what you can do, right, with this, because I don't want to repot this tree or anything, but we know the Cascade's going to come down here. We should try and, you could actually cut the pot. So let's see if this works. Alright, so you can see the little crevice I created, cut it out of the pot. Now we can actually, if we wanted to, work in there and bring branches down through that gap if they're going to be cascading. So that's why I did that. Now let's get back into it. I mean, eliminating things that you don't need. Now we have a lot of nice little branches up here that will create a nice little apex. Lots of nice little branching in here. Lots of branching, really good. Back branches. And just quickly having a look, yeah, got nice some back branches in there. Really quite nice. We can work with all that. We can work with all this, it's probably too tall. But you know what, we'll just cut it off. We can just wire things around them into place and really create a nice little head here. And then we'll look at the Cascade branch. Bring this around and create a really magnificent Cascade. You can start to see it all happening there. I do have this back branch here that's quite heavy. I'll show you what I mean, guys. So I've got a beautiful, nice front branch in there. And I've got this branch in here. It starts about there, can you see it? And can I use it? Can I use it somehow? Can I use another Cascade? Possibly not. I've got a lot of nice back branching up here that I don't need to have this big one, but we'll leave it for now and we'll continue working on it. So now it's a matter of, I've eliminated the things I don't need, okay? A lot of these branches down here I don't need. The really long stuff I don't need. Now it's more fine tuning. Now we go about designing the tree. Where do we start? What do we do next? I already know that that's going to be a great Cascade branch. We're going to leave that for now. We can work on the apex, what can we do in terms of the apex? So I'd like to wire this tree and we'll see how it all looks, but it's going to be a pretty full-on task. Lots of wire and lots of effort, but it will be worth it. It'll be a nice tree. But if we got to do the work now because it's overgrown and everything, I want to really reduce it. A lot of these branches are way too long. They're just going to have to be brought back a lot. So we'll see what we do. I might video, but I might do a time lapse. I'm not sure 100% sure what I'm going to do here because it's going to be a very long video because it's going to be a lot of wire, cutting back things and so on. But I just wanted to show you the initial part of how to start something. A lot of people say, oh, how do you start it? And what do you do when you get something like this? Eliminate the negatives, keep the positives. If you're not sure about something, leave it for a little bit. Okay, so there are three things, possibly three things, right? Eliminate the negatives that you don't want to have on the tree. What's the best parts of the tree? You're going to keep it. Show it off. You can see how I showed it off the trunk, showed off this branch. That's the best parts. Cut off all the things that are too low. They're the negatives. Cut off the long ones. That's easy. That's a negative anyway. And now just try to imagine the design. So now it's working on really cutting this back, creating a nice little cascading tree. I reckon a nice cascade. Got a beautiful, nice, long cascade branch. Lots of branches to work with, and we'll get into it. Okay, hopefully we transform this tree into something quite spectacular. All right, just show you something quickly. Unfortunately, my battery is running low, so I just want to show you quickly. So I've been able to do a bit of trimming up there and eliminate branches. And then I started playing around with this main Cascade branch, and when I actually wired around it, it's actually quite spectacular. It's got a lot of nice heavy branches that I can create more interesting like secondary Cascade branches and things like that, which I need. But then I saw this branch down here that I was complaining about. It's in the wrong spot. The Cascade starts high. This is here. It's just creating a lot of noise, and it's very heavy. I think it needs to go. I have enough branching everywhere else that I can put back branches. So I see how I didn't eliminate it until now because I wasn't sure. So quite a long piece. As I said, I'll have to clean up all these wounds a bit better and, you know, look better. So I've got a nice long back branch here if I need it. But this apex, this is going to kind of create the apex. I'm going to twist it around and put it in place. Lots of nice small branching in here that will create a nice little apex. And I think it's coming along really well just from, you know, a few minutes of hacking into it, hack the right things away, and you have a really nice tree, starting to become a really nice tree. So we've made quite a bit of progress, as you can see. I'll have to expose this later so you can have a better look at the base. It's looking pretty good, that base. See that carefully. So I've raised it higher so I'm not bashing it against the table as much anymore. But we've tried to work on the apex and we're trying to put a little apex in place. It's roughly structurally wide. So structurally wide. The fine detail will come later once it grows out a lot more. Then I've continued along, starting to create the branching as we go down the cascade. Now I haven't finished this whole cascading part. Like one thing I wanted to explain is with cascades, I like to have multiple cascading branches, not just one single big long one. It's good to have a smaller, like I've got a medium one at the back here. I've got a couple other smaller ones that are a little bit longer as well. It's nice to have different, I just like to have multiple, you know, cascading branches. If you have one single one, it kind of doesn't have that depth when you have a cascade. You want a lot of branching happening, a lot of cascading branches happening. You know, it never is just one branch that cascades down a mountain or something like that. The top is small because it's been bashed by the winds or something like that. But the cascading branch shouldn't just be one; it should be a couple, I think. So that's my attempt. I'll show you a bit more in detail, but you can hopefully that can pick up. There's a large one there. It's kind of in the front. There's one that starts about here. You can see that one there. So you can see that there's at least 3 I've got here that can act as a cascading branch of some sort, and we bend that and position those into the areas to make them look more like a part of the tree. So a little bit tricky in that sense, but I think it's going to be a real sensational little tree. Probably the hardest thing going to be is finding a cascading pot or even a semi-cascade pot these days. It's almost impossible in Melbourne to get semi-cascade glazed or even unglazed. It's hard to get. Semi-cascade pots or cascading pots, very, very hard to get. I don't know why no one's importing them as much anymore or something like that, or they're not being made. I don't know what it is, but anyway, that's going to be the hardest bit. So really all this is now is wiring. So you've seen all I did was wire, trim off branches. It's really, if I showed you, that would be the most boringest video going around, but if you understand, it's a matter of just wiring out branches, creating out your structure, you know, creating out your pads, and just trying to balance the tree. I mean, I haven't done all fine wiring yet, which I'll need to do, but hopefully you get the idea. I'll continue wiring and then we'll come back and look at the final product. Alright everyone, so you can kind of see where I'm at after the initial styling. The cascade branch, I had to put some black thing, cascade branch, I just want to show you a bit more focus on the cascade branch. So you can see multiple branches form up the cascade. You know, I've got a higher branch here that makes a pad out here, got a lower branch here that comes down and makes a pad out here. So it's a combination of different branches to create the cascade. I've seen a lot of cascades that just have one single long branch and side. Doesn't look that good. When you have multiple branches, you can create lots of layers, and that's why I try and do that. Sorry. So if you ever see smoke billowing underneath the trees, it's not cigarette smoke. It's actually mosquito coils that have to boil, have to burn. Sorry, just because mosquitoes are everywhere. It's ridiculous. And I just come and tilt this down a little bit so you can see the trunk. It's quite nice tree. So I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty happy with the initial styling of this tree. I think the difficulty is going to be trying to find a cascade pot. I'll let the tree fill out. The apex needs to be filled out a lot more, a bit more fuller, and it'll look better. Cascade branch just needs to fill out as well, and should achieve a nice tree eventually. So nice pot, nice tree, and nice result. Initial styling, it's always good to do structural wiring. Pretty much all the branches have been wired. I don't like to leave branches not wired, especially on the initial style. So that's one thing I approach. So once you do that, remove all the branches you don't need. Keep the good ones and work with them. Not much more to say about this tree. It's quite a nice older Cotoneaster, and I think it'll be really good in a year, even in a year's time. I think it'll be pretty awesome. So, yeah, all good. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll speak to you guys soon. See ya.